What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Seen It All podcast. My name is Yordy, and I'm here with the founder, the starter of it all, the ever so handsome
Jinks, and we are in person again for another video.
In person's way better. As you know, sometimes we record them on my way home from work, timeliness and those things, but I feel like we've got something pretty fresh for you today.
Very fresh.
Jacob and I got to watch a movie right then, and now we're into reviewing it. But first, I got to interrupt. I had crab cake burger today. It was really good. And it was so good, it influenced our movie choice today. I went from eating crustacean to watching crustacean. I'm talking The Lobster. And man, was this an abstract movie. I think it's a really good one. We had to take a moment to digest. Jacob, do you have any more thoughts before we jump right in?
Not that I know of. It was definitely interesting, and we'll definitely talk about the parts that I just completely got lost in. Join us on this episode as we discuss The Lobster. So starting off, I was like the entire movie, I was kind of getting the theme of almost like a reference to The Most Dangerous Game, but like when it first started, that's what it came off as. But then it skewed into something I had no clue that it was going to skew into that, obviously.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it definitely had that, World's Most Dangerous Game vibe as they were hunting the loners, as they were come to call. And it was an interesting movie, kind of difficult to grasp. It was definitely hard for me. You could tell it was a commentary on something. The movie just liked being a little weird, abstract. Kind of gave me Grand Budapest Hotel vibes and kind of like a weird quirkiness.
And that's what A24, it is an A24 film. And I feel like they've came out with a lot of kind of stuff like that as of recently.
Yeah, and so this movie is very interesting. I think we'll keep saying that a lot. It just follows a man, and I can't even think of his name.
David.
David.
Yeah.
David, as he journeys through this selection process for finding love, connecting with a partner, and then going back into the main society, the city. The city was this coveted place where throughout the film you interface with a little bit, and you see that everyone is coupled together, and if you're not, you're either part of this loner pack or you're in this program where after 45 days, if you haven't reconnected, you're turned into some animal. Main character,
which is a weird idea.
I still, with the theme, don't understand exactly what it meant, but
before we get like more in depth with the plot, what do you think about the cast just from like a holistic standpoint? I have some comments on it.
Please make your comments first.
But okay, so I like Collin Farrell as an actor, him being in Saving Mr. Banks, the Penguin, and the Batman. Just a real good actor. But to have John C. Reilly in there was just kind of, it made the film less serious, even though I'm not sure if their intent was it to be a serious movie. But for it to kind of have that eerie / like weird gut feeling throughout the movie, every time I saw John C. Reilly, I was like, okay, I just can't take him as a non-comedic actor. And all I heard was Wreck-It Ralph in my head. That or Dale from Step Brothers. And like, obviously that's not against him, but it's just who he is synonymous with playing. And then automatically you see him in a film that's a lot more somber tone, a lot more gut-wrenching kind of material.
Yeah. There were a lot of moments too, just gut-wrenching. Warning: if you don't like animal
cruelty,
animal cruelty, bug went in my mouth. That's animal cruelty. I didn't swallow it. Hey, and then This is not a good movie to watch. There was a tough little scene, but
yeah, if you're PETA, do not watch
please
that
do not
film.
watch that. Yeah.
Not even the first 15 seconds of the movie.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That donkey actor was great. Yeah, John C. Reilly was a weird person to have in there. I agree. I mean, he wasn't even like the focal point of the movie or anything. Not really too pivotal. It was interesting to have him, and I kind of with the theme, which we'll bust open in discussion, because I had to go read about what the movie meant, and then after you learn what it meant, you're like, whoa, I get it. It was easy to get, hard to know.
Like in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment I didn't know it, but once I knew it, I got it. But yeah, I think John C. Reilly kind of this movie was poking, kind of making fun of a modern day problem and issue, and I think having John C. Reilly in there struggling with it kind of was like, look how funny this is. Like, why we do this to ourselves? And John C. Reilly in there with his classic lisp, or I feel like he has a lisp in some of his
He
movies.
does.
He's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, the casting was pretty nice. Everyone was able to play like the weird, awkward person really well.
Yeah, and there wasn't any, big name actors outside of Colin Farrell and John C. Reilly, which I felt like was good to keep it. Would this be? I mean, I guess A24 isn't like an indie film.
They're like,
but this is almost like an outlier film that's just so out there in the plot. It's just like,
I feel like they have their Grand Slam productions to where you're like, A24, you did it again. But then they also have their little leaguers.
Yeah.
Not that, I mean, every
you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I think that is an opportunity where some of lesser known actors can really, make or break a part and really get themselves out there. So yeah, I agree. For A24 film, this was kind of on their more indie scale.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of unknown faces, but they did really well for like how the movie was played out, how they were supposed to act. I think they fit the program well.
Yeah, for sure. And so kind of starting to talk about the storyline, at what point in the movie did you like almost get lost in like what was the main point? Like to me, I felt like whenever, obviously spoilers of this movie if you haven't seen our podcast or listened to it yet, we're not scared to spoil. But I kind of just got lost to the point of like they showed the like coupled people hunting like people really on in the movie early on in the movie, and it like I never got like why the loners were so valuable in the manner of like they valued them as like adding on days to your stay to find a companion. That didn't like really make sense to me even near the end because he joins them. Like how does the hotel value them so much to add on days to people at the hotel?
I guess, and this is where, hey, I'm going to talk about it, and the director can personally reach out to me and be like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, please reach out if we're misunderstanding something.
But from what I quickly read, the commentary was about the pressures of building a relationship in modern society. And
like inward thought
all the nuance that goes with it. And so my idea with like how much society's pushing you to be in a relationship, there's a lot of like things to look at that were like kind of on the nose. I think that the award of having more days, your extended stay in the hotel, and getting rid of these loners was kind of showing like how society, like if you're single, like society kind of like will push you out or like stomp you out almost.
We'll make it.
It's like, why are you in a relationship? Why are you being a loner?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's more value for people who are looking for a relationship, and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Where like the loners were pretty self-sustaining, and it's like some people sometimes are just happy being single, happy being alone. Society thinks that's weird sometimes.
Yeah.
I think was the commentary there. So stomping out the loners
Yeah, and I guess to go along what you said is you see how free thought, like free thinking, like David was, and the people who he was when he was with the loners. And they kind of hint at that throughout the movie on talking about how you don't have to lie to be with somebody, kind of how the coupling worked out in the hotel, and you were able to love somebody that was different from you.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think also that's also like a lighter tone in the movie, to where you don't have to lie to couple up with somebody. And I do agree with you, but after reading some things, how like after watching that movie, you kind of look at society in a different way, in a manner of it is kind of really pressured and coupling up with somebody, either if it's getting married, getting eloped. You see all these pressures from, let's just say, social media. You know, who's getting married next? Who's getting married next weekend? And especially the springtime, I feel like I see somebody's getting married every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying we're pressuring people to get married, but it's almost in the manner of it's making the individual or the loners think that if they aren't coupled up, they are being left out. They're being left behind.
Left out. Yeah, something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that that movie kind of, to your point, having that 45-day limit on the hotel, showing how quick you're like, oh, people are getting into these relationships so quick.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And like the movie, it was at the same time, it was really quirky. A lot of, okay, the one scene I thought was almost kind of ridiculous, but at the same time funny, was when they put John C. Reilly's hand in a toaster for punishment. I was like, out of all the things you had in your realm of ideas to write into this plot of a punishment for what he was doing,
Yeah.
and you were like, hey, let's put his hand in a toaster, and
Yes.
that's what we're gonna put in the script.
I agree with you there. It's like, wait, like, oh, you could. I feel like I would have been less shocked if they were like, "We're cutting your hand off."
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, "Oh, cutting his hand off." Like it's no toaster. Put his hand in a toaster.
I also did not understand at the beginning of the movie of why David's or Colin Farrell's character had his arm tied behind his back. I didn't get that. Maybe it was just like for the initial first days you had that on.
Yeah, I'm
Because I
not.
didn't see it on after.
I agree. It was interesting. It was almost just like a restraint. Like
Yeah.
how you're getting introduced to this society, and maybe it was like commentary about people rush into relationships and like they start and get into that 45 days so quick, and like it's kind of like a chastity belt. Like, oh, there's like a lot of lust.
It almost creates that pressure at getting closer to the end of the 45 days if you're not allowed, or if you're restrained.
Yeah.
For the first couple of days, where you're like, oh shoot, I'm down to 40 days now.
Yeah. Just keep on going. Go fast. I'm restrained. Yeah. I'm restrained a little bit from connecting with somebody, so I'm gonna. Yeah. Just once again enhancing that speed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think exploring the themes a little bit more too, which may be what it's about, this movie.
Yeah.
I also really liked, I feel like, throughout the movie you'll see David's friend with the limp.
Oh yeah, I thought he was like a weird side character.
He was interesting,
and especially like when his like little weird stalkish interaction with the girl in the pool.
Yeah.
I was like, either he's gonna like attack her or something. Also, I didn't see that part where he was in the pool, like when his nose started to bleed. I didn't see him hit his head anywhere. I guess they were holding that till later for when David like came out, or it cut to that scene of him slamming his head on that desk.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a part of the movie where This girl always got constant nosebleeds, and this guy started uh, physically giving himself nosebleeds, and it kind of showed how like in today's society, I feel like especially people, with maybe the energy to get into a relationship, they don't necessarily care about making that true connection. They can fake make a true connection.
They can change stuff about themselves to adapt.
It was a big part of the movie because there's like, we both get nosebleeds, and then Colin Farrell's character was like, we're both nearsighted. Like caring about very weird things to connect on, trying to like kind of force those connections in that fast-paced, relationship building. It kind of it's interesting. Yeah, it just kind of exposes what's wrong functionally with our society. Less meaningful connections where people can build their relationships at whatever pace they want.
And you can see in the movie like how awkward the actors portrayed the relationships in general. Like none of them looked like natural.
Yeah.
And obviously that's what they were trying to portray, but like you could easily tell that, the limping guy was just wanting to get into that coupling room portion of the hotel or whatever. But like even near the end when they're kind of on and off with like the loner lead, I thought that's where I also kind of got confused on why the loner lead decided to blind David's, I guess, newest love interest when he got to the loners.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
Like, what was the need for? Like, I couldn't remember why the leader of the loners didn't like them being together.
Yeah, the loner, that's kind of an interesting thing to explore. I didn't really. They punished people for kissing. They like stitched their lips.
And they had to do like make up signs for like talking to each other.
Yeah. So I think like, maybe it was a little. I feel like this whole movie was commentary. Like I'm gonna be like, oh, there's commentary.
It was commentated by AI.
Yeah,
I promise you.
Some of the funniest parts of movies would be when the movie would do something and tell you it with the characters, and then a narrator would tell you what just happened.
Like immediately after.
Immediately saying the same words, like the same dialogue. It was bizarre, and it was kind of funny.
And if you feel like that, like your TV's messed up when that goes on, no, that's a part of the movie.
It's real.
And because when that first happened, like in the middle of the movie where they're driving out to a hunt, and like the old lady or the cookie lady was talking to David about some stuff, and then the narration starts talking about it, like right after, I'm like, is there something wrong with the?
It made me feel like I was like, was she even talking?
Yeah.
Like it like gaslit me a little bit into being like, did I make up dialogue? But no. So yeah, I think like the loners, like I think also like I think it was part of the commentary. It's where like if you're part of the group of lonely people, like
you couldn't find love. Almost.
Yeah. It's like you almost fit in by not like. So if you find it, you're like not even part of them.
Yeah,
like, it's just
I see that now. I guess like sitting here talking about it, I didn't really think of that of being a reason why maybe the leader of the loners didn't like them being together. But also another part of the movie I thought was really weird was how when David does find his love interest, like pre-leaving the hotel with the super mean lady.
Yeah.
Just how, I don't know. I thought she was a weird character.
Yeah. They said that she had been there the longest. She just did so good on the hunts. Yeah, I don't really know. She was just mean and weird, but you could see him bending his character, acting a little mean.
Yeah.
And things like that. Which, side note, I thought it was so funny. I think this is also commentary. They talked about how, like, when relationships aren't having a good time, they add a kid.
And it solves everything.
It solves everything. Like, the point, I think the point was, like, they're having dinner, and we were talking about the weight of basketballs, and, like, that relationship was still struggling and bland,
even with a kid.
Even with a kid. And so it's like that's not a band-aid for a relationship. But anyways, that was like there's just so many little moments like that. It's like you're just talking about real life.
Yeah.
In a weird, funny movie. But
sure.
yeah, I got some notes on the ending and everything too that we can kind of talk. The ending was interesting and weird. But I think I have an idea of what it meant.
I guess like we had kind of talked about it near the end or right when it finished. It was more or less like what can a person go to a certain extent to like be with somebody, or like what's the furthest thing they could do to change themselves to fit with this person they're wanting to be with. And we saw David at the end of the movie like attempt or think about that process of taking out his eyes, because the girl, his love interest in the loners, had lost her sight due to the poisoning or whatever had happened. And I thought that was really weird.
Yeah, I think that movie, it cut back to her. I think that ending kind of showed, they thematically showed like people changing themselves, and he was about to blind himself for this woman because it was all about getting stuff in common. Whereas solid relationships, say the old saying like opposites attract, like you do not have to be the same as your partner to have a good connection. And I think David realized that because in the end, he never comes back to the girl. Yeah. I think he says, "Oh, we've come all this way," and like he was like, "I still love her because even though she's blind," and it became like
you didn't have to give up something.
Yeah, she wanted him to be blind too, and it's like, why do we have to be the same?
Yeah,
and that kind of thing.
I guess that's where they drove. Like the hotel kind of drove you got to be the same thing. You got to have a right match.
Yes.
You got to have a limp. You got to have a same nosebleed, nearsighted.
Yeah, the things the hotel like let the couples graduate was like, you have nosebleeds in common, so you're great together.
Yeah. I also think for me, I thought it was strange. This is where I guess I kind of understood about like the world they were trying to portray. But I thought this idea of being a couple outside of being a loner was like more important, like was like only important at the hotel. But when they are like out in the city, even like the officers and the security people are like, do you have a certificate of like coupling?
Yeah.
And then that's where I was like, oh, so this is like a community-wide thought process.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that they put that in there as well.
Yeah. No, it's very strange. I mean, definitely like a little glimpse of a dystopia. Yeah. I think like, let me get all political and geopolitical. No, but like how they look at birth rates and population decline and stuff like that. And, they can talk about how do they increase the birth rate, how do they increase marriage. Like, loneliest generation is here right now.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things, to where like that dystopian commentary is interesting. It's like, how do we get people to be couples? That's like a thing governments are trying to look at. How do we make young people connect and all those? So.
And I think, side note, I just think social media has made that a lot harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do that. So before we give our official reviews, stuff like that, I just want to go through some of the scores on some of the movie review sites. So Rotten Tomatoes, it was, let's see, a 92%.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's right. Let me look at it real quick.
Yeah, it was up there.
And then Letterboxd is 3.5, 3.5 out of 4. Or out of 5, excuse me. Sorry, not out of 4.
Not the monkey
I'm
scale.
thinking of the monkey scale. I apologize. Okay, so no. The Rotten Tomato score of The Lobster is 87%.
Still really respectable, though.
And it's a 2016 movie. And it's it's weird because it has it like descripted as romance, comedy, fantasy, drama, and sci-fi. Sci-fi is a little stretch to me,
but sci-fi closer than fantasy. There's nothing
probably, yeah.
fantasy about this. There was no unicorns.
I feel like that it could be. It's definitely more realistic than something that could happen. Quote, air quotes.
Air quotes. Really air quote it,
but yeah.
Fantasy always makes me think of like dragons and stuff that's never going to be real unless.
Yeah, so with Letterboxd being 3.5 out of 5, Rotten Tomatoes with 87, what is your final review of? We'll call this the real review section.
The real review section.
What's your review of The Lobster?
Yeah, so I'll just quickly. I feel like The Lobster was a movie with a message. It was just designed and made to portray an idea, not necessarily tell some just insane story that's different and crazy. But in doing so, it did. It wasn't there to be, tremendous and full of action. And so, for what it was and what it meant, I'm going to give it a very humble 6.75 out of 10. Yeah, I got 2 decimal places. If it was an average watch,
we're not rounding up to the 10th place.
I can't give it that much. I gotta keep it at the 6.75. Okay. But if I was a real watch compared to all the movies in the world, probably be a little bit lower, like a 5. It was still good, but
would you recommend somebody? Though it's on Netflix, everybody, it's on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
So if you have that, it's free.
The Lobster.
Would you recommend somebody paying for this movie?
Ooh, no. I mean, not even if I knew they liked this kind of movie, I'd be like, for sure. But like,
I do them.
Yeah, but for an average watch with friends and family, I'd say no. It's kind of more of a thinking movie. It's enjoyable in its weird sense, but I'm not asking people to watch this one.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think around maybe high. I go like 5.9. That may be a little low. I like the deeper meaning it has, quote unquote. But at the same time, I just think the story was just too weird of a twist on a plot of just making people feel like you have to be in a couple kind of deal. I feel like there's other ways you can make that into a plot.
Yeah.
Outside of tranquilizing darts, turning people into animals, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd probably do like a 5.9. And like Yordy said, I would probably not recommend this unless it's free and you have time. Besides that, it's okay. It's not a movie. It's not gonna be on my top 100 movie list, but
yeah,
it just adds to the journal.
It's like if I wanted abstract, there we go. I'll watch The Lobster for sure.
Exactly.
But if you really want to watch The Lobster, look at society today. Bum bum bum. That's pretty much how that movie felt.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all who have listened. Comment what you think we should review next. Go check out the TikToks. We're gonna start doing
get on the TikToks.
Less than 3-minute reviews. Go check those out.
Well, how would I go check that out? Am I looking up Seen It All?
Seen It All podcast on TikTok.
Oh.
You can also look up Seen It All podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Available on all those for the streaming platforms.
That is awesome.
So go check us out. Let us know what we can do. And with that, until the next episode, you've seen it all.